So I went and did it. As I said, I bought the iPhone Air. Here it is in all its glory, its thinness. What are my thoughts? Okay, well, as I mentioned in my previous video, I decided upon reflection to go for the new iPhone Air rather than upgrading my 16 Pro Max to the 17 Pro Max. And I'll say straight up front, I'm really glad I did. I think I made an excellent choice. I explained in that previous video that for various reasons I wasn't bothered about some of the limitations that the iPhone Air had. The lack of the ultra wide and the telephoto lens, for example, slightly smaller size, the single speaker. None of this really bothered me when I really considered how I use my iPhone. And on the other hand, the lightness and the thinness and the elegance really of the iPhone Air were the things I was mainly interested in, and I have to say that I'm not at all disappointed on that score. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see how well you can see this, but actually it is beautiful, very, very thin. It's beautifully light. It's a really beautiful looking phone. I mean, the best looking phone that Apple have produced for some time. I must admit, I think that the new Pro models and the Pro Max a bit on the ugly side. I'm not too keen on the colour. I don't like the orange or the blue. I think they're too intense. The other one is silver, is it? Which may be a little better, but I must admit, again, I'm not too, from what I've seen, I must admit I've only seen them briefly in the Apple Store and of course on screen. I'm not too keen on the aluminium unibody design. I mean, there's no doubt that the iPhone Air is streets ahead in terms of how nice it looks, in terms of the elegance and the beauty of it, basically. What about the limitations? Well, let's take firstly the battery issue. That's what a lot of people have talked about, and I've heard some rubbish spoken and written on the internet about this. Some people are saying it's terrible. One person, I'll not mention, called it a joke. Well, I think they're talking nonsense, basically. My experience has been that the battery life is perfectly adequate, certainly for my uses. I've never had it lasts all day. Admittedly, I do top it up because I'm at home most of the time. No, not most of the time, but more than I would be if I was working full time. I am able to top it up. But even on the days when I haven't done that, it's lasted until in the evening, when I could then top it up if necessary. It doesn't last as long as the Pro Max, obviously. The battery's not as big, but the claims that you've got to have this battery pack or it's going to, I don't think it's true. Now, of course, if you're working full time, if you've got a long day, you start off very early, in the morning using your phone and using it all day long. Well, maybe then and if you're using it for intensive, CPU intensive tasks, then I suppose you might have some issues. But most people, I don't think, use their phones to that extent. I certainly don't, and even when I was working full time, I didn't. And as I mentioned, I think before, if push came to shove, I would have purchased the battery pack just to give me that little bit extra. I mean, I'm planning, when I go on holiday, I'm planning to take that battery pack with me just in case if we're out all day. And on holiday I tend to use my phone a lot, obviously for taking photographs and videos and for checking directions and looking up, probably more than I would on a normal day here at home. So I don't want to run out of battery there, of course, but the battery pack will do fine for that. If you're at work, then I would suspect that If you're working in an office, for example, then you've got opportunities to top up the battery during the day anyway. So my conclusion is that for most people, it's not going to be an issue. I mean, there was a test done recently by, is it Tom's Guide, the site I looked at, which found that the battery would last in their standard test something like 12 hours, which seems to me to be perfectly fine. Again, it was less than the Pro or Pro Max would last, but it was, the guy, the tester, was very pleasantly surprised by this. So I really don't think battery issue is going to be a problem for most people who purchase this phone. It certainly isn't for me. The other thing that people have pointed to is the camera system not being as good. Well, that again is perfectly correct. It only has the one lens. It does have the new selfie camera, which is excellent. I'll say more about that in a moment. But yeah, okay, it just has the one lens rather than now. But again, as I pointed out in previous video, I tend to take most of my pictures with this wide angle, this main lens anyway. I did that on the Pro Max. I mean, I didn't use the telephoto hardly at all because, frankly, I didn't think it was all that good. Of course, that was because it was 12 megapixels. I suppose now that it's 48 on the Pro Max and the Pro, it's going to be more usable. But again, I still don't think it's great. The ultra wide, again, rarely used that. The only thing I did was for macro, and that's one thing I will miss. But it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. But otherwise, I'm perfectly happy. I've taken quite a number of photographs with this camera, and they look great. I think actually that Apple again has improved the camera system on their iPhones. I was very pleased with the pictures I was to take. And as I say, this Air does have the same new front-facing, or the selfie camera, I think Apple calls it, as on the other models, with the new square sensor, and the 18 megapixel sensor. And I have to say, I'm very pleased with that. I think that that's a really big improvement over the selfie camera on previous models. The ability to switch from portrait to landscape without actually having to rotate the phone. You can hold it like this, like this, obviously, when you're taking a selfie, and you don't have to rotate it. You can simply tap on the screen, or you can set it to auto rotate and auto zoom, so that when more people come into the frame, it detects them. And it works great for that. I'm really pleased with that. I think it's a big improvement. And obviously that's not something that I'm missing out by having the Air compared to the Pro or the Pro Max or just the plain 17. So again, I'm more than happy with the camera system that I've got. I think it's perfectly adequate for most of the things that I've used the iPhone for. And as I said in my previous video, only having the one lens means that I will have an incentive to make more use of my professional camera, my mirrorless camera, which of course has interchangeable lenses and so on. I mean, it's there's no doubt that a proper camera still takes better photographs, even though, as I say, the pictures on the iPhone Air are terrific. So that's not something I'm going to miss. Other limitations, well, it only got the one speaker. But again, I found that to be fine. If I'm just watching a TV show or a film, it's okay. And anyway, as I mentioned before, when I'm doing that, I probably put my AirPods Pro in anyway. Or some other Bluetooth headphones. So again, not an issue. No problem at all. And really, I think those are the only things that you could argue the Air has or lacks rather in comparison to the Pro models. Again, it does lack, of course, some of the more advanced video features, but since I'm not a videographer and I don't take videos particularly with it, as I mentioned before, I've got a dedicated video camera here, much better. Again, it's not an issue, and I don't think it will be for most people. I think the most people buying iPhones are not professional videographers, they're not professional photographers, they're not going to miss those, Genlock, ProRes RAW, etc. Great if you use your phone for those purposes, in which case, of course, you're obviously going to get the Pro or Pro Max, but again, for vast majority of people, that's not going to be an issue. And then again, against, of course, those limitations, you get the wonderful benefits of the iPhone Air. The fact that it is so thin, it is so light, it is so elegant, it feels great in the hand, it looks beautiful, compared to the others, particularly I say the Pro and Pro Max, which I think are a little bit ugly this time. I mean, there's no comparison. It's a massively more beautiful looking device than that. You've got the same display, admittedly slightly smaller than the Pro Max, but bigger than the Pro, I think I'm right in saying. Yeah, I think the Pro is 6.3, the 6.5, the Pro Max is 6.9 inches. Again, that hasn't been an issue for me, coming down slightly from the Pro Max. In fact, I actually think I prefer it. It's still a nice big screen, and with it being slightly smaller, it's easier to use with one hand. Of course, with it being lighter, it's much nicer in the hand. So and you're still getting, of course, the XDR display, Super Retina, is it they call it, with the ProMotion display, and all. The screen is just the same. It's as in the Pro models, just a different size. So, and as I say, I think I prefer it anyway to the Pro Max. Pro Max is actually perhaps a little too big. What else can I say? I think it's fantastic. I think I made the right choice. I think a lot of the criticisms I've read about it and seen about it are way off the mark. I think they're rather biased views by people who haven't really maybe had a proper look at the phone. I'm not saying that they're wrong in their views. If they prefer the Pro and the Pro Max, fair enough. But I think some of the dissing, is that the word, a modern word, dissing of the Air are just not correct. So overall, I would say that if you're considering this, go ahead. I don't think you'll be disappointed. If you're quite happy, say, just to have the one lens, and it's a really good camera, okay, one lens, but if you're happy with that, if you think that the battery life is going to be okay, and I think it will be for the majority of people, then, and of course, if you do fancy having the latest thing that Apple have come out with, this is their latest innovation, if you like, in the iPhone. If you want that thinness and that lightness and that elegance, then I say you won't be disappointed at all.